Well, hello, everybody. It is Wednesday again, and we're here for another Real Talk session. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Norma Fran, and I am a life and nutrition coach. And what I'm talking about here every Wednesday is my program, Weight Loss Your Way. And it's a little bit different. Yeah, um, it's not a diet, it's not a meal plan, it's really not even a program. It's a different way to think about weight loss and a different way to approach and find your process for losing weight. This holistic approach that works for your life and makes sense for you, because that's how we create those sustainable results. So, if this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're back, thank you so much for joining me again. So, assuming I've done the technology right, this is streaming over in Facebook on my Facebook page and in YouTube. So, regardless of where you are, say hello in the comments. I will do my best to see the different comments, or if there's any questions, drop them there as I'm talking today. If I miss them, because frankly, I'm not really good at bouncing back and forth between the screens yet, um, just know that I will go back and answer any questions that you have afterwards. Same thing for those of you watching on replay. If there's something that you have a question about or some comment, just go into the comment section and type them in there, and I will see them after the fact, and I'll respond. So if you're on replay, just put in a hashtag replay in the comments too, so I know you saw the video. All right, so let's dive into today's topic. Let's see. So I've shared this before, a little bit about weight loss your way. So this is going to go just a little bit further under the covers now, so this will start making some sense. There's four main pillars or fundamentals that I use to create weight loss your way. And they include normalizing food, emotional eating, and self sabotage. Now, number four is kind of swirls around all of the other three. So you can kind of think about it this way. Picture like a Venn diagram with three circles, each one with normalizing food, another with emotional eating, and then a third with self sabotage. And then right in the center, where they all kind of converge and intersect, that's where the fourth pillar lies. And frankly, I think it's the most important one. It's the relationship with yourself. And everything that we do in the other three pillars connects back to the relationship with yourself. So that might be a great way to think about it. Now, all three of these pillars, they could stand on their own, but when they do come together and form that center intersection of the relationship with yourself, that's where the magic and the sustainable results happen. Because we've all done the diets before, right? We follow all the rules, we do everything right. Sometimes we lose some weight, but what happens then? We gain it back. And I believe that's because while we followed all the rules to lose the weight, there was nothing in that process that taught us how to change that relationship with ourselves so that we could have sustainable results. So, when you're thinking about those pillars, they can be approached all very differently. So, some people put a lot of energy into one pillar because that's where their work is. Some people work on all three or four simultaneously, but it doesn't matter. That's the beauty of Weight Loss Your Way. It's designed to give you the flexibility, the time, and the space to focus your energy where it matters most for you. And it's really a way of creating a process that is uniquely crafted for your specific needs. So, all of that said, where the heck do you start? So, I think it's with the pillar of normalizing food. That's always a great place to start. Before I go any further, I'm going to jump back over here and practice taking a peek at what's happening in the two different groups. All right, let's go on then and talk a little bit about what I mean by normalizing food. So, normalizing food is changing the way you think about food and your relationship with food. Because I think as people who have dieted, we've come up with lots of food rules and diet rules. And some of them are like bits and pieces from other diets that we've done in the past. Some are just things that doctors have said to us. Like I had this rule that I wasn't allowed to eat baked potatoes. In fact, I was like terrified of a baked potato for years because a doctor said to me at one point, never eat a baked potato. They're just really bad for your blood sugar and they're just bad. So don't eat the baked potatoes. So I like had them, they were labeled as a bad food in my mind for years. But before we go deeply into that, what I think is important to understand when you talk about normalizing food, first and foremost, is your current thinking. So, and getting some awareness about how you're thinking about food and maybe some of the food rules that you have collected over the years and that your diet brain has stored and filed away and loves to pull out every single time you're ready to try something different. It's like, oh, no, no, remember that baked potato is really bad. Don't eat that. Or remind you of these rules about, oh, no carbs or no fat. And it just becomes incredibly confusing. And you get kind of consumed with thinking about food all the time. Like, what should you eat? What shouldn't you eat? When? You just got all those rules and labels kind of jumbled around up there. So I like to think of this process of getting aware, kind of like the GPS on your phone. So it works like this. So, what is the first thing your GPS does when you punch in an address? It finds your current location. It needs to know where you are right now in order to map out the best route. And that's what happens when we start gaining some awareness about our behaviors around food and our eating patterns and these food rules. When we know where exactly we are right now today, we have options now. We can start mapping out a route. So, what I'm going to show you today is an exercise that you can do around specifically food rules, food labels, how you're thinking about food. It's just one part of the many different ways we can kind of attack this whole thing of normalizing food. But I think it's a really great place to start to, like I said, kind of get a good sense about how you're thinking of food today. And I like to call this the good food, bad food list. And whether you think you do or not, we all have one, especially if you're somebody that's dieted for any amount of time or really are just unsure about what is or what types of food you should eat and when and how much. Now, for this exercise, I don't necessarily mean in the nutritional sense, the good and bad in terms of nutrition. I mean it in the diet brain sense. So when you're thinking about good and bad foods, you likely have a list of food that's good from a diet perspective. It's good because you think you should eat it to lose weight, and the food on your bad list are foods you shouldn't eat because your brain's telling you that these foods will not help me lose weight. I had to grab a drink of water. So, said a little differently, when you're trying to lose weight, you then eat those foods. And then the bad foods are things that, although you may love them, you think they're off limits. They become forbidden. And when you're trying to lose weight, they end up becoming your cheat foods, or the things that maybe you sneak in sometimes. But what often happens though with the good and bad food list, it does this really terrible thing of morphing into moral self-judgment. You decide that you are either good or bad based solely on how many times you cheated or not, or how many days you went eating the good food. You did good. How many times have you said that? I had a good day today, or this was a good week. And it was based entirely on the food that you ate. right? So, by the way, this is where you might be able to see the connection to that other pillar of the relationship with yourself. So that's kind of how the good food, bad food list works. We kind of all have it running around in our head, and we tend to choose our foods based on the good food, what we think we should eat, and the bad food, the stuff that we think we shouldn't eat because it's not going to help us lose weight. So, here's how this exercise works. Really simple. All you need is a blank piece of paper or a page in a notebook or journal, and then just draw a line straight down the middle. One side is your good food list, one side is your bad food list. Now remember, I'm not talking about nutrition or healthy or anything like that. Excuse me. I want you to make your list of good and bad food based on how you think about that food today. And what you might find is that you're going to put food on your good list. So, for instance, before my good list had things like salad and grilled chicken and vegetables, fruit. So sorry. And that was about it. It was just very boring, just a handful of food, and it wasn't exciting. And probably why I could never stay with it for very long. But that bad list, woo, that list was huge. That had all the things on it that I loved: burgers and fries, pizza, bread, pasta, desserts, that type of thing. But it was over there on the bad list. And every time I ate it, I felt bad about myself. So, anyways, make your list, good list, bad list, and don't hold back. Just put everything on that list in one of two columns. When you're done, take another look. I really think you're going to find kind of exactly what I just described. You're going to have kind of a short, pretty boring list of the good foods and probably a much longer list of the bad foods. And the other thing you're going to see, I think, is that most of the foods on that good list you don't like that much. You have them there because you think they should be there. And then conversely, your bad list, oops, hold on, I think we lost a connection. Nope, okay. Sorry. Your bad list probably has a lot of food you really love, and you probably forbid yourself from having them or you save them away for the cheat day. So notice those things when you've finished, and then I want you to think about how this plays out when you're on the diet. When you're on the diet, you're limiting yourself to a very restricted list of approved food, so to speak. And after a few days, maybe a week or two, if you're lucky, your eyes start to wander over to the bad list. And then the negotiation with yourself starts to happen. You decide to have a cheat day. And before you know it, you are off the diet rails again. You're beating yourself up for yet another failure. Do you see how that happens? How we've restricted ourselves so much that we just can't take it after a while. And we start to migrate back over and then kind of go all in on all of these other foods. What I want you to see is that there's a different list that you can make. What if you could make a list that didn't have a good or bad label on it? In fact, that's the next step of the exercise. Flip your paper over, and then right on the top, foods I will eat or my favorite food list, and then put it all on there, everything. No labels, no good, no bad, just all the food that you enjoy eating and that you know you will eat. Because when you come right down to it, when you rip those labels off, food is just food. It's not good or bad, and it's all available to you without rules or restrictions. I know. Is everybody just like, ugh, I don't know about that? Well, Think about it this way, like I said, ripping off those food labels and realizing that it's all available to you suddenly kind of takes away the scarcity of having those things that were once formerly on your bad list. Like, I don't know about you, but like when I decided to go off the diet and dive into the bad list, it was all in. I would eat everything I could get my hands on. Why not? I just gave up the diet. Let's just keep on going. But if it's all available to you with no restrictions, there's no reason for that scarcity. You can decide what you want to have it, and be done with it, knowing that everything else is available to you. Now, if that feels a little scary or maybe like a lot scary, that's completely normal, totally normal. But it's also a sign that you have some work to do on the food and diet rules and ultimately trusting yourself around food. And there we go again, circling it right back to the relationship with yourself. So, this good food, bad food exercise is really just a start of unwinding all of that diet brain thinking. It's the awareness you need to figure out your next step and the process that you're going to take to get the most comfortable with being in discomfort and feeling that uncertainty that might be swirling around right now when you think about freely eating again without rules, without restrictions, without food labels. But more importantly, I want you to never pass moral judgment on yourself based on the food you put on your plate. Food is not good or bad, and your food choices don't make you good or bad. So if you take anything from this real talk, I want it to be that. But trusting the process and trusting yourself is key. If you're going to take on this little exercise and experiment with it, do it without judgment. And remember that weight loss your way is the long game. This is just a little step or a little exercise in the whole process. And we're just trying to figure out where you are right now, getting your GPS tuned in. Because you're building the foundation that's going to hold you up and support you all the way down the scale so that when you do get there, you have all the skills and the new beliefs that you need to maintain this for the rest of your life. So give it the time and give it the space that it needs. All right, that is what I have. Let me jump over here real quick, see if we have any questions. I don't see anything. All right, so if you like these lives, mark your calendar for Wednesday at noon Eastern here on my Facebook page, Norma Fran Coaching. And you can also subscribe to the YouTube channel, same name, Norma Fran Coaching, and you can catch it live in both places. Go back and watch the replay as well. They'll be there for as long as they stay there. And I usually pin them at the top of every week, so they're pretty easily to find. Now, the last thing I would invite you to do, if you want to be a Weight Loss Your Way insider and get my weekly newsletter, which is typically always containing things like this talk, different things that you can try, different ways to think about things, you can go to normafrancoaching.com/subscribe. And there's also a Facebook post pinned in the featured session or section with the link to subscribe. I would love to see you there. All right, that's what I have this week. So I will see you next week. And don't forget to leave those comments or questions in the comment section, and I will be sure to get back to you personally. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.